Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M,
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
So I'm watching the national championship game last night with my family. Okay. Didn't make it the whole way because, you know, I'm old. I sleep early. I was asleep at 8:38, so that tells you how much I watched. But Annalise asked me, Dad, who's going to win this game? I go, well, the experts are picking Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I think UConn's going to win.
Okay.
And then about 42 seconds into the game, I go, honey, I'm wrong. Michigan's going to win because their size was so apparent, right? They did whatever they wanted. And then UConn started playing their brand of basketball. It almost felt like a Buzz and a Bucky-style team mixed into one is what I was watching last night. You saw some three-pointers. You saw some tough defense. You saw the game slow down. And then Michigan being they were just too much.
Yeah, Michigan was just a better basketball team. And you're right, their size is dominant. You know, you got the 7'3" guy inside and then a bunch of taller guys out on the perimeter that made I assume they influenced a lot of the shots that UConn took. They had to. I think they went into that game knowing that they had to slow the game down, which they did, and also make a lot of three-pointers, which they didn't do. I think they shot less than 30% from three-point range, probably around 27%. If they shot 33%, you know, that's kind of the equivalent to 50% from the field. Then it's obviously even more competitive game. They might have won.
Right.
But they had to make threes, and they just didn't make enough of them.
I actually am embarrassed. I don't know this answer. I was trying to look it up quickly. Maybe Justin could look it up. I don't know how many of those Michigan players from last night played the year prior against A&M. I don't remember anybody. I might be wrong.
It's my understanding, and I don't know this for a fact because I didn't look it up, but it's my understanding they have several guys that, you know, stayed around, you know, that they're a more, obviously in today's college sports, you know, there's a lot of movement, but it's my understanding that they were able to retain some guys.
So some of the guys that I'm looking at from last year, Trey Donaldson, Danny Wolf, I think they changed Charlie May. Hey, he's probably still there, right?
Maybe it's UConn that had.
Yeah, I think UConn had a lot. I don't know.
I'm looking at some of most of the top names on the team are transfers.
Okay.
Trey McKinney, LJ Kaysen, I don't believe he played. Charlie May hasn't played much minutes this year, but the real guns for Michigan were new.
Okay, so it was then UConn that's pretty experienced.
13% shooting from the three for Michigan.
Yeah, they usually don't do that. See, so that's
defense,
and that's that would have played into the formula, obviously, for a UConn upset. I think UConn did everything they had to do other than shoot a higher percentage of three-point range.
Michigan was averaging 94 points a game in the tournament.
Yeah.
They scored 69. They played what a UConn style of game.
Yeah.
They were just bigger and better.
You know, what it comes down to is this, as much as I don't want to admit it, because I don't have a dog in that fight, right? I was pulling for Michigan because I think Dusty May's a more likable guy than Dan Hurley. That was it. That was my whole basis for pulling for Michigan. And yet you can't walk away from that game and see what Michigan looks like and what they are and not be impressed with the coaching job that Dan Hurley does.
This may not surprise you. I kind of like Dan Hurley.
Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me at all.
Now, there's things that I don't like, right? To me, I like class, okay? And I don't think sometimes he's classy, right?
Okay.
Sometimes he's not classy. But I love fire. I do. I love fire. And I don't know if you saw his comments after the game yesterday. I thought he was going to go after the refs. He was very respectful.
Yeah, he was.
He was like, I wish these guys reffed every game I coached them.
Yeah, I wonder if he really felt that way or if it was just I don't know. I'm watching that game and I heard people complain about the officiating and I was like,
basketball.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
People are going to complain.
Like one time they went and back and they watched forever because I don't know if it's Caravan. It might have been Caravan. And he hooks a guy on a rebound. You know, he's holding his arm down and they're having to go through this big discussion and it's obvious.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, is this a controversial play that Hurley's going to be upset about it? Because it's pretty obvious here. And look, officials miss some calls here and there in every game. It just didn't. Maybe I didn't watch it closely enough, but it just didn't strike me as this is horribly officiating.
I think yesterday is a perfect example of I didn't have any skins on. Wait,
skin.
Yeah, in the game, right? Yeah. I didn't care.
All right,
right? Like I was kind of rooting for UConn, but I didn't care. Well, either way, right? I was a kind of root for them, but not really. Michigan's story was cool too. So it's interesting though when you watch a game like that with people on either side.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you don't care, you can actually see where the mistakes are. When you care, it is all your way. Like that's a ridiculous call, bro.
Yeah, I have that. I would have those conversations on a biweekly conversations with Luke.
Yeah.
Because he's like, they've got so many more. We got so many more fouls. Luke, all the Aggies are doing are shooting 3-pointers. You're not going to get fouls when you're out on the perimeter shooting 3-pointers. Yeah, but you're fouling more, Luke.
Go to a kid's youth, whatever sport event. The parents get even more. Like it is like,
I know.
That's a foul.
You ever hear anybody say 3 seconds? 3 seconds. Yeah. I think nobody's caught 3 seconds in 3 decades, right?
I know. Hey, you're familiar with Brett McMurphy?
Yeah.
Do you know him?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know. But he writes for On3 now, okay?
Okay.
He had an article, and it was all over social media yesterday. And I just want to get your thoughts, and then I'm going to read a line from the article that I found odd. You may not.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
Here's the article. The SEC dynasty collapse. What comes next? Okay. I see where he's going there. I get it. Here's the line that I found interesting. With South Carolina's loss to UCLA in Sunday's women's Final Four title game, this marks the first time in 9 years an SEC team did not win a national championship in either football or men's or women's basketball. I don't know. Okay. I mean, we still got baseball to go. A year ago,
Big Ten might win baseball too.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, but go on.
But so I found that like this the year's not over yet. Like we still got baseball to go. I don't know if you can necessarily. I understand the direction of the article. I get it. Like I'm wondering if the expansion of the SEC is a little to blame for what is happening.
I don't think that's it.
No? You think it's just NIL that everybody's now can even the playing field and...
I think the NIL definitely is and transfer portal is definitely a factor. And I'm going to state the obvious in Indiana's success.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan had a hell of a team. Ohio State had a hell of a team.
Yeah.
You expect those two programs to be really good.
But that's football, right? This is calling all the SEC, and I'm like, wait a second. Well, South Carolina just lost in the women's Final Four or national championship game. Who won the national championship?
UCLA.
UCLA? No, the year prior.
Oh.
I don't remember. Florida won basketball a year ago.
Right.
LSU won baseball not even a year ago. Like, can we just slow down on that?
Yeah, I think it's...
we just won volleyball, so we got that.
Well, I think of it. I think of that kind of like the Spurs in the glory days when they never won like back to back, but were they a dynasty?
Yeah.
I mean, they won like 5 NBA championships, right?
Yeah, they're a dynasty.
They didn't win them all back to back. The Patriots even lost some of those during that great run, right? So to me, a collapse that's way over the top.
Maybe the playing field's a little bit more even.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it's funny to me because when Michigan won the football championship a couple years ago, they beat Alabama when Alabama stopped on 4th down at the Michigan 2-yard line.
Right.
So we're talking about what a collapse. Now I do think that Georgia, not this last year but the year before, might have gotten to the championship game if Kirby Smart's a smarter coach. Kirby Smart's a great coach who makes a lot of bad decisions in games. And he made some in that Notre Dame game when they lost. So, if everybody wants if that's the narrative now because they haven't won, because they went a whole year in basketball without winning a national championship, or the women didn't win a championship, okay. But then when they do come back and win, which they will, and in football, and so then you got to come back and say,
the dynasty's back.
A reborn dynasty.
Well, I mean, is the SEC dominating basketball over the years? No. I mean, they've gotten a whole lot better in the last decade, I think. But they haven't dominated it.
No. They're usually as good as, it used to be they were as good as Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody else would come up here and there, but they were typically as
women's basketball. You get to the national championship game, right? They have.
Yeah, they've dominated.
You get to the national championship game, and hey, props to the Big Ten. The Big Ten has invested in their programs. They've added the right programs. Props to them. I think this is more apropos for football. I think the football dynasty obviously looks like that dynasty. It might be a new dynasty that starts, but right now that dynasty is over. What we saw, 13 championships in 17 years, something like that?
Yeah, it was great. Something like 8 or 9 in a row. Yeah, that's changed. But what happens if, pick a team, wins the national championship, like I said, next year?
A&M. Let's pick them.
Let's pick them.
I like that.
Is it Dynasty Reborn?
It's the A&M Dynasty. Born.
I mean, look, things go in cycles. If you want to say, look, I put it this way: the SEC's not on their knees, begging for mercy.
Right.
Miami had a great team, and it took a great team to beat A&M, and it took a great team to beat Ole Miss.
Yeah.
From Miami. Okay. And sometimes some years are going to be better than others.
Here's another point. And now this I am interested in hearing. The SEC's 2-8 bowl record, excluding 2 SEC versus SEC playoff games, was not only the worst in the league history, but the SEC was favored to win 7 of those 10 games.
I think it is utter foolishness. I understand why you do it, but I would not judge any conference now. There's no metric that should include non-playoff bowl games. People don't care. It's like we saw when A&M played USC in the Vegas Bowl. Mm-hmm. The whole secondary, or a big part of the secondary wasn't playing. There's just too many guys that are key players that just don't play.
Right.
And it's not a true representation of the team it was all year long. So if that's what you're going to hang your hat on, now if you want to say, hey, look what the SEC did in the playoff, I say, okay, I'll listen to that. But if you're going to say bring in the bowl games, that to me that means nothing.
For me personally, if you're playing, I'm trying to win.
I get that, but it was like going all the way back to when Oklahoma beat Florida in the Cotton Bowl. Four of Florida's 5 best players were Kyle Pitts and Kadarius Toney or something like that.
Kadarius Toney.
And there was another guy. See, I can't remember, but there's like 4 of their top 5 players, excluding the quarterback, Trask, just didn't play. So I mean, if you take the 4 of your 5 best players off of any team, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah. No, I agree. But there was a time, even with that, SEC was winning bowl games.
Well, I mean, I think the SEC champion quite often would lose the Sugar Bowl if they weren't in the playoff because, again, they don't care.
Yeah.
I remember when Texas, and I had this argument with some of my friends over in Austin, when Texas beat Georgia, and said, oh, the Georgia players said that they were ready. Well, whoever went into a press conference
Nobody
said, yeah, we don't want to play.
Ready.
Right?
The motivation changes. You may not feel it, but you may not see it directly, but there's a different kind of motivation when the stakes are higher.
Right. And Georgia had some players sitting out. I can think of a cornerback who was a first-round draft choice that didn't play in that game. And, yeah, the SEC was so dominant for so long that it means more to the other team to beat them.
Yeah.
Right? So if it's in a playoff and Miami beats A&M and Ole Miss, I say, hey, they were better.
Yeah.
But in bowl games, they don't matter.
Your brother Kurt Buchanan on the YouTube page, let them have their fun, Nuño. It doesn't matter. In the end, everyone is chasing the SEC.
Yes, to me, that's kind of like the is Jordan the greatest player debate. It was, is Jordan better than Kobe's better than him? LeBron James is better than him. So-and-so's better. And it's always, but it's always, that's the one you're compared to, right?
Yeah.
And that's why he's the best.
You ain't us. You want to be us. All right, let's tell the people the name of the show because there's no way they know what they're listening to.
You're listening to TexAgs Live.
Presented by.
Oh, you're going to, okay.
I'm just trying to
David Gardner's Jewelers.
In the Rollo Insurance Studio. The hour is called the what?
The Go Hour.
Presented by the who?
The Warehouse at CC Creations.
And typically we like to sit over there.
Yeah, the Holistic Planning Cool Zone, but it travels.
It travels, yeah. It's an aura that travels, right?
Right. Because you know what? Because you can check on your money from anywhere these days.
Why not? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
I mean, if I had money, yeah, I knew that was coming.
He has money.
If you want to be a part of the conversation, I got 4 kids. College, come on. If you want to be part of the conversation, call us on the Buppy's Catering and
Bartending
hotline 979-693-1150. You can text that number as well, but then we changed the name magically. We call it the what?
We call it the Catalyst Pure Performance Energy Text Line, PPE.
PPE, are you with me? Let's go around the room, left to right, to say hi to the people behind the glass and through the television is our dear friend, Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Hey, good morning, y'all.
How are you?
I'm good. I don't know if y'all mentioned baseball, and I know that article was mostly about, the big 3 sports, but the SEC has won the last 6 national championships in baseball. They've won 3 of the last 6 in basketball, and in terms of softball, they've won the last 2. Oklahoma actually has won 4 straight going back to 2021, but that's when they were part of the Big 12. So Oklahoma and Texas have won the last 2 softball national championships. So again, I know it was mostly in reference to the big 3 sports, but like you mentioned, OB, they won the national championship in basketball last year. They dominate college baseball, which is right there in terms of the big 3. And yeah, we know how good they are in football, even though they're on a little bit of a drought.
Whatever fits the narrative, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, a writer's got to write, OB. They got to find an angle. They got to get some clicks.
Did you say that the SEC's won 3 of the last 6 basketball championships?
Women's basketball.
Yeah. I was going to say, wait, what did I miss?
Yeah, I know they won a men's basketball a year ago.
Yeah.
And what did you say, 6 in a row for baseball?
Yeah, they've won 6 in a row for baseball.
It's a collapse. Like, I would understand that article a little bit more if it focused on football and say, and oh, by the way, take a look at what's happening in these other sports. It's not the same dominance we have seen. But women's basketball has won so many, but they don't win every single one.
And 3 of those baseball national championship matchups have been all SEC teams. So 2 SEC teams competing for the title.
You mean like A&M and Tennessee?
A&M and Tennessee in 24, LSU and Florida in 23, and then Mississippi State versus Vanderbilt in 2021.
There you go.
There you go. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Justin Pius is there. Hello, sir.
How we doing?
I'll answer for OB. He's doing great. I'm doing okay.
Awesome. I'm doing great as well. I'm
happy to hear from you.
I'm feeling on top of the world a little bit right now because
what's the sticker? on your water bottle? Is that a hang loose thing?
Yeah, it's like a good vibes, even though it's kind of breaking.
Are you a good vibes kind of guy?
I feel so.
Yeah.
I feel like it.
Maybe you should do that more often. There you go.
We're feeling good vibes today because
I make a lot of hand gestures.
hopefully, yeah, that's good. Michigan winning yesterday in the TexAgs bracket challenge. Me and a few others picked Michigan. So
I'm going to assume Richard Zane did too.
Richard Zane did pick Michigan in the bracket, but he didn't win. I believe Dean won, so congrats in the back if you're in today. But it felt good.
So what do you get for winning?
A whole lot of nothing, just pride. But no,
Obi, I've been trying to get everyone to put some money down on it for years, but no one will do it.
Oh, I so would have done that.
Yeah, I don't do money.
Anyway, where I wanted to frame it is I feel like over the last 10 years, there's been a considerable change towards three-point shooting more and more often, which it's still very important. But we saw in this last game where even you can shoot 2 of 15 from the three, still win the championship. If you look at the Final Four teams, 3 of the 4 of them ranked outside the top 100 in three-point shooting, but 3 of the top 4 were top 10 in rebounding. So I was wondering, do you think we're going to see more of a transition to just height and working in the paint more and not as much in three and more in the defense?
Well, I hope not, because Bucky's got a whole system based on hitting threes, and so.
No, I think height's great if you have really talented big guys.
Yep.
I think there's more good three-point shooters than there are talented
big
7-footers.
Guys. Yeah, I agree with that.
So I think those.
And most of the talented 7-footers today probably shoot pretty well, right? Which is completely different. I think it originates in the NBA. Whatever happens in the NBA trickles its way to a different form in college basketball.
Okay.
Like when we were watching the Jordan era, shout out to Cooper Patterson, who's a big Jordan fan. Everything was about throwing down dunks and a little bit more defense. The Steph Curry era has brought on everybody at the park. Instead of trying, like when we were growing up, at least when I was growing up, OB, we had the goals that you could like lower, and everybody, all we did was work on dunking. Now people, all they do is work on these circus threes. So I think whatever happens in the NBA will trickle its way to the college game, and it'll kind of evolve inside of that.
Yeah.
I would rather get 3 points for making a basket than 2. It's just me.
What feels better, hitting a 3 with somebody in your face or a dunk?
I've had that argument with Logan Lee so many times back in the day. I said, look, because he's like, oh, the dunk does all this. It gives you 2 points. That's what it does.
Yeah, but it's a man thing.
Well, I remember, and I hate to remember this.
Not that I've ever done that, ever.
But I can remember when A&M went to Anaheim in the Sweet 16 with Tyler Davis and Robert Williams to play Michigan.
Yeah.
And the Michigan coach, Bayline or something like
Jim
that.
Bayline.
He said, I tell our guys if they block the shot, okay. Or if they get it done, okay. We're going to come down and hit a 3.
Mm-hmm. And they did.
And they did.
And they did. Let's hit a break, OB. After you work on your dunking, because I know you love to dunk on the 4-foot goal, and you do the 360 on the 4-foot. Like, I get it. Like, it's great.
4 foot? I mean.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to dunk on 6 feet.
So I'm 6 feet tall. Yeah, I think I could do it.
My shoulder, my elbow hurts. Anyway.
All right, go ahead.
All right. I don't know. I'm trying to get you.
My shoulder and elbow does hurt.
Okay. Well, you get tired.
Got this thing.
You've got to recover.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways to recover is getting a good meal.
That's true. In fact, I plan on getting a good meal.
You just put your commercial face on. You went like,
that's true. In fact, I'm going to be getting a good meal at one of the greatest places to get a great meal, especially if you like Texas barbecue.
I love Texas barbecue. Tell me more. I don't even know where you're going to go with this.
I'm going to be going to 1775 on
Friday.
Wait,
the place that named it after the military?
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
I know about them. I've talked about them for 3 years, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's, let's see, how can I tie 1775 barbecue into the military? You know what? It's the kind of food. Remember when everybody was getting so upset because the military was giving steak and lobster and all they're up. You know what? They should have been up in arms and upset not because they had steak and lobster, but because
they didn't get 1775.
Because they didn't get 1775. They should have given them the succulent brisket or the amazing pork ribs or that tremendous jalapeno cheese sausage. And of course, our veterans, our warriors, people that are fighting our battles, if they don't deserve some queso mac and cheese, who does?
You know what? 1775 reminds me of the SEC during the Saban era. pure dominance in the barbecue game.
It is. In fact, maybe what they ought to do. Never mind. I'm not going to call that. I was about to take a venture into the land of war and said, no. You know what? 1775 barbecue. It brings peace.
Peaceful.
Yeah, I'd like to have a big piece of that. Of that
jalapeno cheese
right
sausage.
now.
Yeah. 979. This is 12 minutes. 979-492-6241, or check out the website 1775txbbq.com. It is 1775,
and it is good.
We're a little behind the clock here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. We got to do the Knockout Performer of the Week, brought to you by TKO Equipment. Rent, sell, lease, or rent to buy TKO Equipment, which is your trusted source for used and heavy equipment. He's Olin Buchanan. You knew that.
Yeah.
I'm David Nuño. He also knew that. Do you have somebody you want to nominate for your TKO Knockout Performer?
I don't have any actual stats that I.
That's what Justin's there for. You say the name, he
finds
finds
it. But it sure seems like Bear Harrison had a nice weekend against Vanderbilt.
3 homers over the weekend. Look at that. They look at Johnny on the spot. Nick
Look,
Savage.
he hit 500.
That's good.
Yeah.
3 homers, 4 runs.
I knew he was
7 RBI.
I knew he had a good series, and then of course you have to put in Aiden Sims.
Aiden Sims, absolutely. 7-inning shutout, 7 innings pitched, struck out 8 batters. I think they hit 125 on him. Look at that.
Yeah, so those are 2 guys that come to mind for me.
He was the
SEC pitcher of the week.
Pitcher of the week.
Yeah.
So deserved it. Nico Partita had a couple of home runs.
Yeah, he did.
Gavin Lyons, he bridged the gap several times. He was great.
Yeah, and you ain't lying.
I ain't lying about Gavin Lyons. You got some softball nominees for us? Because we got a few. They deserved it after that series win.
Definitely the big name is Sydney Lessentine. She had 2 wins on the weekend, notching her 10th on the season. Pitched 11 innings, 9 strikeouts, only 3 runs allowed. And in the first appearance she held the Bulldogs to just a 166 batting average, so huge weekend for her. Kennedy Powell had 1 run, 4 hits, an RBI, and then in that crucial third game was 2 of 3. So big performances from softball this
Maddie
weekend.
had a great weekend as well. Do you have Maddie's stats in front of me? I think she went 3 for 4, 2 RBIs, hit a clutch 3 straight pinch hit appearances. She had a great weekend, I should say, as well. All right, we'll do this. We'll hit a break. Sorry to make it such a short segment. We got Charean the Dream Williams on the other side.
All right.
Got a lot of good stuff to talk about with Charean. Right now, moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Let's remember that your trade-in has value, and you want to go to a place that's going to give you the most value that you can get for your trade-in, and they're ready to put the equity for work for you at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They have a very great pre-owned inventory, but that moves fast. And when you have an inventory that moves fast, you're always trying to replace what's gone. So they're going to give you the top dollar that they can. Bring in what you've got. Let their experienced sales team show you what it's worth. They have decades of combined experience. They know how to structure a deal that makes sense for you. And remember, when you buy a vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet, it comes with that free oil change for life. It's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot. And you do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in. Let's go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline, joined by Charean the Dream Williams from Pro Football Talk, of course, our dear friend, an Aggie Hall of Famer, joining us on the program. Hello, Charean. How are you? Hello, Charean. Trying once, trying twice. Charean.
Hello.
There she is. There's my friend. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Great. You've been paying attention to the Aggie baseball team?
Yep. I'll be there Friday and Saturday. Looking forward to it. It's gonna be a fun series, I think. Hopefully, knock on wood. Hopefully the rain stays away and they get all 3 games in as scheduled. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Are you going to be shouting epithets at the coach for the opponent? Of course not. She's a classy.
More effective than just completely ignore it. But yeah, it's gonna be noisy. But yeah, I don't know how you agree. I'd be interested to see if he goes out with the exchange of lineups. Knowing him, he may not even go out there. But yeah, he's going to take some verbal abuse, I think, this weekend.
Charean, I want to ask you about E.J. Smith. I loved his time at A&M. It took me a while to love it, actually. When he first got here, I was like, oh, I didn't like the production initially, right? But it's a great kid. And then when he got healthy, he was awesome. Does he have a place in the NFL, do you think? It's special teams because of his work ethic, how smart he is, his lineage, all that. Do you think he has a chance to make an NFL team?
No doubt. And the fact that he plays special teams, I think the one special teams play when Casey returned the punt for a touchdown and he had 3 blocks on the play tells you how good he can be on special teams and what he can do and what a team player he is. There's absolutely 100% a place on an NFL roster for a kid like that who's willing and able to play special teams, to be a backup running back, to do everything. Great blocker. Too, can pick up the blitz. So he's probably a guy that, I don't know if he has great hands, but probably a guy you could use to get in there to block for you anyway on some blocking situations. And then just the toughness in the Arkansas game, biggest play of the game, 4th and 1, and he runs into the back of whoever was there and then manages to find a way to get a first down. And A&M probably loses that game and doesn't get in the playoff if he doesn't do what he did on that play. And I saw Emmett at the Super Bowl, and I told him that. I said, I love your kid, love watching your kid, thought he developed great, and the 3 blocks he had on the special teams play on the punt return just shows you what kind of heart the kid has and his work ethic and everything else about him. Willing to do whatever you want him to do. So absolutely there's a place for him.
Charean, I agree with everything you just said except one thing. He did not run into the back of the tight end. The tight end actually ran into him because he was getting pushed back into it. It was an amazing effort, and they might have lost that game, if he doesn't pick up that part. But it was a great effort on EJ's part. So, in fact, Charean, I bet off the top of your head you could probably name 3 or 4 guys that had long NFL or significant NFL careers based solely on their ability to play special teams. I'm not talking about punters and kickers either, as you know.
Yeah, J.T. Gray is a perfect example of that. Made the Pro Bowl at least once, maybe twice. I think he just made it once. And he's still in the NFL. He just signed with somebody recently to continue his NFL career. Was with the Saints a long time. It's just a great special teams player. They're 100%. Teams are looking for those type of guys who are willing to do it all, who are willing to play every special teams unit. They want those guys. And I think that's what he is willing to do. I think he can be very good at it. Maybe the coverage part, he will have to learn a little bit, but I have no doubt that he could do it once he learns to tackle and what it takes to do all those sorts of things on the other end of it. But I just think he'd be a great special teams player, a good, 3rd, 4th running back on your team, just a great guy to have on the team. Somebody's going to give him a chance. I don't think he's going to be drafted, but he'll have his pick of teams where he wants to go. And there is a place for him somewhere. He needs to pick out. He doesn't need to pick just, I'm going to go to the Cowboys. He needs to look and see who's going to give him the best opportunity to stick. That's a great thing about being an undrafted free agent. is you can find the team where you think you have the best opportunity to stick. So don't necessarily take the most money. Don't go to where your dad played football. Yes, that's a great story, but if that's not the best fit for you, go where the best fit is. And the Cowboys may be the best fit. I don't know. I'm just saying he needs to find whatever that is and go there.
Charean, explain to me what Troy Aikman's doing with the Dolphins, and is it a conflict of interest similar to what we saw when Brady became part owner of Las Vegas?
Yeah, the NFL seems to think that it's okay, and I imagine there'll be more of these because they do get inside information. They have their visits/phone calls with teams. Sometimes it's a visit to the facility. Sometimes it's in a phone call before they do the games, their production calls, and they find out information. And I think teams are going to be reluctant to tell Aikman and Brady much, especially after Aikman's recent comments to Clarence Hill about, yeah, they hired me because I get all this information. Well, teams are going to stop giving him information, I would think, about what they're doing or whatever, because they don't want him to have the inside information and take it back to the Dolphins. But he's in an advisory role with the team and, has some input as to what they're doing and provide some information. And so it's the same thing that Brady's doing. I seem to think that even though Brady's a minority owner and Aikman's not, that Aikman's participating more than Brady is in this role, the team role that they have. So I saw Aikman talked to him a little bit at the NFL owners meetings last week. Tom Brady was not there, so I think Aikman's doing a little bit more in that role, and he's also there for the broadcaster too. The broadcasters are all there, but Brady was not there, and I think that was significant. So yeah, I definitely think it's a conflict of interest, and I think teams need to just say we're not going to talk to them. We're not going to give you any information. We're not going to tell you anything. We're not going to tell your partner anything. It'll just be cursory information, what we say in the press conference.
And I wonder how that'll affect his other job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with Charean there. Nothing about that seems, and I'm a Aikman fan, obviously, but nothing about that seems smart.
Yeah.
By Aikman or the Dolphins. Because really, what are the, like she just said, if he's supposed to get information on other teams for the Dolphins,
who's going to share information with him?
Right. I don't get that.
Charean, what's up with Myles Garrett? I mean, not that I expect anything, but I know they've modified some language in his contract. Are we going to get another, hey, I want to be traded summer, or is it just, I don't know. What's the latest with Myles?
I don't think we can rule out a trade at this point. They did modify the language. It does make him easier to trade. The Browns say they wanted to be a Brown for life, a one-helmet guy. That's all well and good, but we know how discontent he is with the way the Browns have played. 2 playoff appearances, one divisional round game. He's won only 58 games in 8 years he's been in the league. So that's just it's just not been good enough. And so I know that he wants to go somewhere where he can win, and the Browns can get a lot for him. So I would not rule out a Myles Garrett trade, and it would be the largest trade probably in history. It would be more than what Micah Parsons brought in. So 2 first-rounders plus, more than that. So they could rebuild their team in a hurry if they get that.
I wonder who would, but they've been trying to rebuild that team for decades. Don't mess that up. I wonder who would be who would be the most interested in have the capital, to get Myles, and where he would, where.
I don't know. I mean, that's.
Who's a pass rusher away from me?
The Titans.
Really?
The Titans. Are they a pass rusher away from being a championship team?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's got to be a team where they're one pass rusher away from winning a Super Bowl, whoever that is. And I haven't really sat down to think about who that might. The Ravens, might be in that category. They're willing to give up 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby, so why wouldn't you give up 2+?
Yeah.
For a guy who's better than Max Crosby?
That makes
so
sense.
that would be a potential landing spot for him. And there's I'm sure other teams out there who the Patriots be on that list as well. They might be willing to do that. They've never been one to really pull off those trades, but they might be willing. The Rams are a team that's absolutely been willing to part with first-round draft picks, and they might be a pass rusher away in what might be Matthew Stafford's last season.
Charean, great stuff. Thank you so much. We'll see you this weekend.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with the final segment on the Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Right now, we're talking about the Rollo Insurance Group that builds lasting relationships through education. They're headquartered right here in College Station on Highway 6. They share our community's values. They're an independent agency that works for you, not the shareholders. Their team provides an objective consultation across all of their insurance lines in Texas and beyond. Join thousands of Aggies, and I'm telling you, thousands and thousands of Aggies trust Rollo Insurance with protecting what matters most. When local matters at home, like severe weather or regional economic shifts, their agents know firsthand how to take care of you. That's why part of the reason, really, why so many families trust Rollo Insurance, and that's their first call. The difference is real. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That's 888-44-ROLLO, or visit the website, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That's rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Hey everyone, David Nuño here of TexAgs Live. I want to introduce you to the team at Holistic Planning. Got Jason Barber here, Taylor Pankratz, and also Paul Meredith. Jason, I want to start off with you. What really sets Holistic Planning apart from the others?
Yeah, so what makes us different is most financial advisors stop at investment management. On the other hand, Holistic Planning, we manage investments, taxes, and estate planning all on one team, all underneath one roof.
Now, Taylor, when everything is coordinated like that, it really helps the bottom line, doesn't it?
It really does. When your investments and taxes are working together, you stop leaving money on the table and keep more of what's yours.
Paul, Holistic Planning is trying to expand as well.
That's true. We just opened our Houston office, and we're looking for people who feel like their advisor isn't seeing the full picture, because that's exactly what we fix.
And Jason, there's other opportunities beyond that.
Definitely. If you're a financial advisor and you want to join the Holistic Planning team, we're looking to add 50 teams in the next 5 to 10 years. So check out holisticplanning.com/advisors.
All right, so if you want a team that actually coordinates everything, go to holisticplanning.com. Aggies, this one is worth it. And we are back. It is TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I want to play a game real quick. Obi, you're going to go last.
Okay.
Nick, you're going to go second. Justin, you're going to go first at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Tell me the nickname to this person. George Gervin. Nick Savage. The nickname to this person, George Gervin.
No idea.
OB, I know you know the answer, so I'm not going to ask you. There's a reason I'm bringing this up. There was an article that apparently Caleb Williams' nickname is now the Iceman.
Oh, so he's ripping off George.
But he didn't know who George Gervin was when they asked him about it. And I'm not shocked that, by the way, I don't think I was alive when did George Gervin play? The early 70s?
And into the late 70s.
Okay.
I watched him play.
I never watched him play, but I know George Gervin.
Shoot.
I know life. I know sports history. I don't know what happened last week, but I know what happened 30 years ago. It's just this generation. I'm not speaking ill of you, by the way. What I'm about to say, it's just that the things that like I thought we all knew, they only know what's on YouTube if it's trending.
Yeah, their idea of history is what they remember, not what they learned.
So if I were to say, who's the fridge? You would say?
I've literally heard that nickname, but yeah, I can tell you it.
Tell him.
William Perry.
If I were to say the microwave, you would say?
It's in my kitchen.
Vinnie Johnson.
If I were to say the glove, you would say?
Baseball.
Basketball. Gary Payton.
Thank you very much.
Give me one I know.
I mean, the Mamba, the Black Mamba?
Yeah, I know that one.
Okay, that doesn't count because you were alive for that.
Yeah.
It's just the Sultan of SWAT.
That's Kareem, right? Oh no. I'm just gonna stay quiet.
The Bambino?
Yeah, that's Babe Ruth. Great Bambino.
Oh, thank you. The Yankee Clipper?
No, I'm just.
I'll give you a hint. He played for the Yankees.
Yes.
Hammerin.
Hammerin.
Hank Aaron.
Oh.
The Bash Brothers? Who are they?
They're bros. They're best friends.
And Seiko and McGuire.
Thank you.
The Blitz Brothers? Who are they?
That one, I don't know if I remember the Blitz.
A&M?
Who is it?
Was it John Roper and Aaron Wallace?
Is that what? See, I didn't know that was their nickname. I should have known that. I'm the host of freaking TexAgs. I should have known that. I didn't know that's what they called them. When I say the hit, you say?
The punch.
Who's the hit?
Quentin Coriat, who hit Clint, what was his name? McPherson.
God bless.
I could have told you George Gervin played for the Spurs, though. That one I would have known he played
You
for the
just
Spurs.
didn't know his nickname, what he was known for.
Not in the ABA.
Who's the Dream?
The Kareem the Dream?
No,
oh my God.
Charean Williams.
Oh, you mean Hakeem the Dream?
Yeah, it's too late. I'm done with this generation. I'm old. Obi, thank you, buddy.
Okay.
I bet you if I did the next game with Ross Stripling, he'd get it all right. He's next on TexAgs Live. Welcome back in to TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Big game week. Texas State later on today. And after that, we've got the Texas series. So a lot of baseball to get into. We're about to call Ross Stripling on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Get his thoughts. He played against Texas, was very successful against Texas. So we'll chit-chat with him about that game coming here to town and the ramifications for multiple reasons, not just the baseball reasons, but obviously I think some fans, right? Like this is a personal game for a lot of people. So we'll get into that with Ross Stripling. Bottom line is they just win the series. I don't care how it happens. Keep winning, and we can worry about our history against them and the time with their head coach later. But you got to take care of business tonight against Texas State. I know that our team will be heading there a little bit later. All right, so we go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline, joined by our next guest, who spent 9 years in the big leagues, made an All-Star game, nearly threw a no-hitter in his first MLB start, and obviously had an amazing career at Texas A&M. We talked to Ross Stripling here on the program. And Ross, good morning. How are you doing, buddy? Ross, you there?
Yeah, hey.
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
Cut out for a second. Hey, good morning. Yeah, hey, how's it going?
Great. Thanks for joining us, man. So let's just talk about this Aggie baseball team. It's a weird place to be, I think, in my opinion, because we're not satisfied. Like, I think the fan base isn't satisfied, yet we got a really good baseball team. And maybe that's a healthy place to be. I don't know. Like, what do you think about this team so far?
Yeah, I mean, like, kind of right here at the midway point, I feel like we got a good feel for the squad that we have. I mean, I think it's encouraging. I think, coming off a frustrating year last year, I think this is a good step forward. If you're going to ask me, our strengths and weaknesses of our team, I think they're going to be the same as what everyone else sees. It's, our offense is elite, maybe borderline best in the country. They're going to keep us in every game and every weekend series. And, our arms are doing the best that they can. We are, basically kind of like a 4 or 5 man pitching staff and need some other guys to step up as they continue to get opportunities. But, really it's a lineup that's going to carry us as far as this team's going to go. And there's a chance they can carry us pretty far because they're that good.
Ross, I think with this team, and we said it before the weekend series or as the Vanderbilt series was happening because they played, the Thursday, Friday, doubleheader, that if they just get pretty good pitching. I'm not talking about elite stuff. I'm not talking Ross Stripling on the mound. If they get pretty good pitching, they're going to win most of their games. Do you agree with that?
I do. Yeah, I do. And I think, a few tweaks here and there and maybe a little bit of good luck. Like, Shane Sadeo by no means is a bad pitcher. He's a Friday night guy in the SEC for a reason. I think there's some things where he, just executes a little better or has some things fall his way or, yeah, dude, y'all are spot on, man. We are so close to really taking off, and obviously we got a gauntlet of the SEC in front of us and more tests to come, but the lineup's proven that it can hit anybody. I don't care if you're running 3 Paul Skeens out there. They're not going to want to come run through 1 through 9 of A&M's lineup. So I just think, if our arms can just pitch the way that we know that they can pitch, they don't have to do anything special. Just go out there and trust your strengths, which our strengths are throwing strikes and not giving free passes, and then turn it over and let our lineup cook, and that's going to be our best chance to win.
Ross, let's talk Aiden Sims, who just had another dynamic performance. He's had his struggles here and there, but for the most part been the most consistent pitcher, especially the last few weeks. Just what do you think about him in the Sunday role, and do you like it there regardless of how the first couple games have gone in the series, or do you think maybe it's time to start thinking about tweaking with that?
You know what? I think it's time to start tweaking. Obviously, not my decision, but if you're going to, ask my opinion, that this is the perfect chance for it. With the Thursday, Friday double game, like you said, it's more rest than he would normally get going into a transition like that. I think he's proven that he can obviously pitch on the weekends and pitch against elite contact and elite offenses. But the reason I say it is it just seems like Sunday specifically isn't for him because we rake on Sundays. There's a lot of these games where we're now into the third starter and their bullpen of these weekend series, and we're putting up 10, 12, 15 runs, and, Aiden Sims goes 7 scoreless, and it's kind of wasted. Like, there's no reason for those two things to happen on the same day. If we're going to get 7 scoreless, you want it on Friday or Saturday. So I just think the way our team has proven that they rake throughout the weekend, specifically the last game, I think we're wasting a lot of really good outings by Aiden Sims, and it just makes sense to move those up in the weekend where they're going to be more powerful.
Ross, let's just take it a look from the team perspective, right? Like, how hard is it to start off a series behind and still have the mental fortitude to fight through? And this team has fought through all season long. And the reverse, when you do get a great Friday night, how it just makes the next two matches, you just got to win one. And I know it's a lot easier said than done, but just the mindset behind both of those scenarios.
Yeah. Going back to my time, my coach was Rob Childress, and he basically treated each game as like its individual, battle, which obviously it is. But like Friday is like you want to get off the series off to a good start, right? You want to be 1-0. Well, if you win it, great. You can win the series the next day. If you lose it, okay, we got to get back even with the series. And then Sunday's always the most important. You're either going to win the series, you're going to not get swept, or you're going to sweep, right? So every game has kind of its own mentality and, battle when you get out of bed in the morning of like why that game is important and why you need to obviously win it. And I think, this team and every A&M team is well coached. So it's just a matter of flushing the one behind you, like a Thursday at Vanderbilt that got away from us, and going to win a major doubleheader. Coming out of Thursday, I was like, man, this team is so frustrating. Like, you can't see a Friday night score like 14-8. Like, that just can't happen. And you're worried, like, man, what is this team? And then you go sweep a doubleheader, and you're like, all right, yeah, we're back. So even as fans, we ride the emotion and the roller coaster. So as the players, you trust that they're not doing that. They're tackling each 9-inning game as its own obstacle. And I think you've seen this team be able to do that. A couple of hiccups, but really for the most part, they get back on track and they get back to their strengths and they play good baseball.
Ross, one of the things I really enjoy about this team is they're resilient, right? Like, and we even saw it last season. They get punched in the face and they find a way to come back from that. Just what does that say about Coach Early? What does it say about the group of guys that he has?
Yeah, I mean, it says exactly what you're alluding to, right? Which is, Coach Early was thrown into a situation last year where he, inherits the number one team in the nation as a first-year head coach, and that comes with its challenges and expectations and the ups and downs of last year. And then now, his feet are wet, and he's coming into this year and facing some of the same obstacles, right? Like, baseball is a hard sport. We're playing in the SEC. He's going to have good weekends and bad weekends, but I think the one thing we've seen from Coach Early so far is he's consistent, and his players go to battle for him. His players really love him, have nothing but good things to say, and that just goes a long way. That's why you're going to see the resilience from these kids that you see, because they love their head coach, they love the staff, and they love each other. So they're going to go to battle every weekend, every Tuesday for each other, and they're going to, block out the noise, and it's been a ton of fun to watch, man. I mean, an true freshman left side of the infield. We battled through some injuries. Caden Sorrell could hit the ball to the freaking train track at any moment. There's just a lot of fun personalities and talents on this team, and they obviously really like playing in College Station and playing for Coach Early. So I think you just see that on the weekends as a fan, and that's what makes A&M baseball so special.
Ross, let's talk a little bit about Bear Harrison. Had a great weekend. Obviously hit those 3 home runs. But all season long, even though his hits weren't there, Coach Early said the guy just finds a way to get on base. Now he's batting just over 270. The fact that it's starting to click for him, what does that mean for this offense where he is hitting home runs too?
Yeah, I mean, it just, at one point I think he was hitting like 160 but had a 500 on-base percentage because he walks and he gets hit like crazy. He's one of those guys where the ball just finds him. He stands on the plate. He's not scared of the ball. He's going to get hit. And inevitably he's too good and talented of a player to not turn it on a little bit, so that's what you're seeing. So that just, that just shows you how deep our lineup is, man. Like, there's 7 dudes that we could talk about before Bear Harrison, and yet in the 8th hole we're talking about Bear Harrison because that's how deep our lineup is and how much of a gauntlet it is for an opposing pitcher to go through. So, and you got guys like Charean Williams and Nico Partita, and, just the lineup is incredibly deep. Like, we should, and rightfully so, be talking Sorrell and Atopian, et cetera. But the guys at the bottom that are getting on base but also doing damage is the reason we're putting up the numbers offensively that we are.
Since you brought him up, let's talk about the talented freshmen that are providing such a spark and being so consistent for him. Jorian recently has been on a tear. Nico all season long has had his moments, and Boston Kellner as well. What do you think about those 3 freshmen and their futures at Texas A&M?
Yeah, it's really fun to see, right? And then I'll even throw Aiden Sims in there, even though he's not a freshman. But like that's doing it the way that I did it, which is like you get the freshmen into campus and maybe they're a little raw, but you throw them out there, you let them develop, and then you get a sophomore absolute step forward like we're getting from Aiden Sims. And I think that's where you're going to hope from those three freshmen offensively that you're talking about. Already getting so much production from them, but like, what does the future look like? And the next couple of years, without getting too far ahead of each other, as they develop into our system and keep getting bigger and stronger. But it's fun to see such young kids come into the program and produce right off the bat alongside guys that are about to get drafted, in the first round, and they're right there producing and contributing as much as anyone on the team. I think, it makes you excited for what's to come, but you also try and stay in real time and say, like, what can this team accomplish? But man, like, when those kids are juniors, what's our team going to look like?
Talking to Ross Stripling here on TexAgs Live. All right, Ross, let's focus on a couple of the big wigs. Gavin and Caden Sorrell, they have been so good for them their entire time at A&M. Gavin, unfortunately, last year gets hurt. Caden gets hurt the first part of the year. We never got to see him fully healthy together. We're seeing it now. What they also mean, not just for this year, but what their MLB futures could look like.
Yeah, I mean, we could go through each one. Sorrell, it speaks for itself. I mean, the bat speed, the exit velocity, he just passes the eye test, the wow test with everything that he does. He's just an absolute overmatch for almost any right-handed pitcher that he sees. He makes adjustments. I'll see him having a bat where he looks silly on a changeup, and the next time he'll get the changeup again, and he'll, hit a double or a home run. So that's the one thing you see that you're like, okay, this is different. He's not just, swinging in one spot on one speed. Like, he's making adjustments in real time and doing damage. Really can't say enough about Sorrell. And then Gavin, honestly, the same. I mean, he got off to maybe a slow start, at least slug-wise, was hitting the leadoff spot, probably something new and kind of different for him, coming off shoulder stuff, where it was a little bit slow, and you're like, okay, is the power going to come? Oh, yeah, he's still Gavin Grovac, and the power's in there. Now you're seeing triple-digit exit velocities very consistently from him. So, a 1-2 punch that obviously those are the guys that are going to carry us. If you're talking about trying to get deep into the postseason, those guys have to stay hot and continue to slug, even knowing our lineup is as deep as it is. But those are the guys that are going to drive the bus.
Ross, let's talk about the week ahead. All right, you got a Texas State team that's really good. You're going on the road. We had Coach Early in studio yesterday, and he's like, look, I'm not worried about it, overlooking Texas State with Texas coming this weekend for many reasons. We got to win, and also we get a practice in between with the earlier series. So how difficult, or in your mind, focused team is it for you to be focused for a game in the middle of the week that has to matter, that will matter, knowing what's still at the end of the week?
Yeah, I mean, you hear the word trap game a little bit and stuff like that. I don't think this quite falls into that category. It's a team that they've played before and that played them well, so I think there's some familiarity there, so you got to get up for it because they're also on the road, right? I think it's our first road midweek game, so it's, it's going to be a little bit different. They need to, have their minds right and be in the moment for that Texas State game. That doesn't mean they are going to win it, have to win it. They just have to play well and be present for that game and understand that it's its own game and you can't look ahead to the Longhorns just yet. And then, going into the weekend series, it's, make it fun. Don't put too much pressure on it. These kids, I was a third generation Aggie. My mom is a Longhorn. My dad's an Aggie. Like, I was raised in the rivalry. These kids have, maybe not experienced the rivalry as much growing up kind of in this off period that we have with them as we join the SEC, but it is what it is. Most of these kids are Texas kids. They're going to understand it. So I think I was always able to just make it fun and make it not too much weight on my shoulders or too much pressure, right? Like, if it's a baseball game, even the Yankees and the Dodgers still lose 70 games a year. Like, it's okay. But you want to go out there and be present for it, be prepared for it, and play to the best of your ability. And if that doesn't mean a win, that's okay. But, you got to show up for the moment and enjoy it for what it is.
Well, a couple things. Not a lot of those players played for Schloss, right? So, yes, they may understand the rivalry, but they've only played them once or not at all. They didn't play for, a bunch of them didn't play for Schloss. But that doesn't mean the environment is not going to be crazy. What do you expect Bluebell to feel like?
I expect it to be as crazy as it's been maybe ever, or certainly in a long time, man. That is return of Schloss. No matter how you feel about him, he's an amazing baseball coach, but the way he left Aggie land is, I don't know what adjectives you want to use. There's a million. But it certainly was memorable. I'll use that one. And, so I imagine he's going to be hearing it specifically. And then just it's Texas A&M. So no matter if it's women's basketball, soccer, football, or baseball, it's going to be hyped up in College Station. So I expect to be able to hear it and feel it through the TV broadcast. I can promise you that.
I know we've talked about it before, but just take me back to 11 when you shut out Texas, just the mindset, the game itself, the emotions that you had. What was at stake? Take me through that entire event.
Yeah, man, good question. So that was game 3 of a series right at the end of the year. We were in the Big 12 at the time, and we needed the series to win the Big 12, and I believe we lost the first 2. So we still had a chance to tie for the Big 12 regular season championship with me on the mound Sunday at Dish Falk, and I threw a complete game shutout in Austin to, clinch a co-championship of the Big 12. With my mom in the stands at the Longhorn. One of my favorite pictures is her giving me a big old hug afterwards, congratulating me. You talk about just nerves and excitement and what's at stake there. That's probably one of the 2 or 3 best memories I have from A&M. I got a no-hitter and I got a complete game shutout in Austin. I think those are the 2 that I'll take with me.
Ross, last thing for you, man. Just this team, you feel like they're going places. Like considering we know the pitching limitations, and it could get better. We saw it get better in 22. Considering the pitching limitations, can this team really compete and go deep?
Well, look, they say pitching and defense wins championships, right? You can probably count on one hand how many teams actually slug their way to championships. It is rare at some point, good pitching does beat good hitting. So I wish that we had more strength on the mound than we have, but those kids are competitors, and we're going to keep running them out there, and the lineup is what it is. You can slug your way far into the postseason, so I'm not going to sit here and say that they're not going to go far, but I do think that, we need some things to start going right on the mound. We need, maybe another reliever or 2 to really step up and start pitching some big innings. Can't all just be fresh corn. So I do think, the staff has a chance to hold us back just a little bit, but our offense is that talented, man. And I think, this team can go far just on their shoulders alone. So I'm not writing us off by any means, man. We're 4th in the SEC. It doesn't feel that way, but we are. And, that halfway through the season, you'd take that all day. So this team just needs to keep plugging away and doing what they do, man. And we'll see how far they can get.
Ross, great stuff, brother. Appreciate your time, man. Let's do it again.
All right. Yep. Thanks for having us, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. Gig 'em. That is Ross Stripling on the Bubby's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break. Come back with an open segment. Chit chat with Justin on the other side. Right now, if you're looking for real peace of mind when it comes to your money, check out Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors. They're an independent fiduciary serving clients all across Texas with no sales pitches, no commissions, just honest financial planning and investment management. And what really sets them apart is the over 9 CFPs, the CFA and the CPA, all on staff. They take their credentials seriously, and they work tirelessly to help you build a future that you can feel good about. Go to paragon-adv.com or give them a call, 979-693-3907, to schedule your free consultation today. It is Paragon Financial Advisors. Integrity, expertise, and trust. Paragon Financial Advisors. Hey guys, David Nuño here to talk about our new partners with EventPipe. They are a leader in hotel booking technology, and now they're giving you a chance to support Aggie student athletes every time that you travel. Thanks to their partnership with United and EventPipe, whether you're heading into a game, a business trip, or family vacation, every room that you book comes with cash back in the pockets of Aggie athletes. That's a wonderful deal. And with EventPipe, you'll get discounted hotel rates up to 20% lower than the major travel sites while enjoying a fast, easy booking process. They've even created Presto, EventPipe's quick launch booking solution. It lets organizations build branded hotel sites powered by live hotel inventory, making it simple to book the perfect state. So next time you want to book a trip, do it the smart way with EventPipe and support Texas Aggies NIL through United. Visit their website, tau.eventpipe.com. And we're back. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Something opened up today, Justin.
Yes, that is the transfer portal. So yesterday, we had the women's transfer portal open. We have Fats Janae and Talia Kavoka getting into the portal. So two of Joni Taylor's players are into the portal. But yes, today opens for the men's as well. We only have one confirmed transfer out, and that is Josh Holloway. Currently 9 returners expected. But news has been popping, like players are going in the portal all over, from Kentucky, from Florida, from everywhere. So it's going to be really interesting the next 2 weeks, see where things are going to go. We got Luke Evangelist and Kay Nagley on top of that. But your thoughts on the state of the team? Obviously, Rashawn Agee, Rylan Griffin, Jakari Lane, Ollie Deba, Fede Federico out of eligibility, and Josh Holloway on the way out. Is there any certain kind of positions that we especially need to address?
I'd like to know what the latest is with some of the guys and their ability to come back. Like, is Mbako coming back? We feel pretty good. I mean, he's alluded to it, but I'd like to know that. I'd like to get a big man.
Yeah.
Get a couple big men that can fit in this system. Right. And I would just like to get some size, and that does not mean a big man per se. That means at every position. I've said this a couple of times. When I watched the Houston guards shooting, they just looked like a bigger, thicker in the warm-ups. They just look like bigger human beings, right? Everything about them. And I stood next to a bunch of the Aggie basketball players. I'm not a tall dude, and I was as tall as some of those guys, like some of the guards. So Holloway being one of them.
Yeah.
Jakari Lane, another one, right? So there are a few guys on that. And by the way, I want those guys. I think, they were very nice players, but I think to be able to compete at the highest level with Titans, you just saw Michigan yesterday, right? That team was huge. And they were also scoring 90-plus points a game for a while. So, I think they just got to get bigger and stronger. And I think they will. Last year, they had to put the team together like that, right? I think a year ago today is when Bucky was announced, or Bucky had his press conference.
Right? I believe so.
So, and he signed his deal. So we're here a year later. He had time. He had, a couple weeks to prepare for the portal, figure out really what they need for their style to be able to work, and hopefully find their next AG. Hopefully find their next Ruben Dominguez. That's all going to be a big part of what they do.
Yeah, well, now another team in the mix of the transfer portal is UNC with Mike Malone. They're bringing in an NBA champion coach. Obviously, UNC is seemingly going for the NFL champion type of leaders. What are your thoughts with them bringing in Denver Nuggets 2023 NBA champion head coach Mike Malone versus maybe a guy that's been coaching in the college basketball ranks?
So I had to double check. He went to Loyola, so okay. Typically, North Carolina likes to hire people with ties to North Carolina. I don't know if Malone has any ties to North Carolina.
Not that I saw.
Played at Loyola, coached at Oakland, Providence, and Manhattan, and obviously his time in the NBA. So his dad also was an NBA coach, Brendan Malone. I think he's a really good coach, and I thought what happened in Denver was kind of weird. His whole breakup there.
Yeah, it was strange.
2 years removed from an NBA championship, right? Is that
right
on the timeline? And I feel like, didn't they go to another NBA championship?
They've always been up there.
I think it's great coach. I don't know how the transition from college to pro to college, I don't know how that works, but I think a coach can coach. Now, the interesting thing is going to be how he puts his staff together. North Carolina is always going to have advantages, right? Because it's North Carolina. Yeah. But how much do those advantages really matter in today's college athletics? Does coaching at North Carolina, to you, does that mean anything to you?
Yeah, that's a pretty special gig still, I think. I would say so.
But
I don't think it's giving them any extra advantages compared to the landscape that NIL has now.
Right?
Yeah. This isn't a crazy thought or anything, but we just put it together back here. So they got a Super Bowl winning coach as their head football coach.
Yeah.
Now they got a NBA Finals winning head basketball coach. Who knows what they'll do with baseball?
That's what I'm saying. I think maybe UNC fans might not be as excited because they saw what happened when they brought in a championship winning coach last year with Belichick, and it didn't work out. And now they're bringing in another.
That's just
coach.
year one, right?
I know, that's fair.
It did feel like it was terrible, though. So, I don't, believe it or not, I'm not Stephen A. Smith. I don't have to have a take. I'm interested, right? It might work. A lot of people have to have this take, and then they change their take a month. I don't know. He's a really good NBA coach. He won an NBA championship. He developed players. You would think it could work. Do you have the right staff around you? Right? You could be really good at your job, at any job, talk show host, teacher, whatever, right? But if you don't have the pieces around you to elevate your game, I don't know. That's why I think where you coach there's a lot of eyeballs on North Carolina, and I think that's going to be the hardest thing for him to overcome. But he handles all the bullets that come his way. I think it'll be fine. I think he'll be good.
Yeah, and
he'll be better than Hubert Davis. How about that?
Yeah, that's for sure. And I feel like it's really tough now that there's so many good coaches in college basketball. You saw the Final Four: Dusty May, Dan Hurley, Brad Underwood, and that's not even mentioning all the teams that didn't make it with Tom Izzo and Rick Pitino and Bill
Bucky
Self.
McMillan.
Bucky McMillan, you're so right. Yeah. So
let's hit a break. We've got to talk to Tara Henry on the other side. She's only got about 10 minutes from Softball America. She's also the host of Good Morning Softball. We'll chit-chat with her about A&M softball and what that series loss against Texas, over a week ago meant, especially now after seeing how they hit Texas and how they did against Georgia. We'll talk about that and much, much more here on TexAgs. Right now, we're talking Heritage Films. They preserve more than memories. They transfer values across generations. They capture the unique mindset of agriculture families and who think in decades and in centuries, right? And that's the beauty of Heritage Films. They do these documentaries for these family ranches because family ranches isn't about tomorrow. It's about 10 years from now. It's about 20 years from now. It's about 30 years from now. And it's about what was done 20 years ago in keeping. That's why Yellowstone was such a hit, guys, because of what the land meant to that family, right? Well, ranch families think differently. They got to tell that story. And you can get a documentary done on your ranch by reaching out to Chance McClain and his team. You can do the documentary about your dad, your uncle, your mother, your family business. But let Chance and his team be an eye in the sky for your family events and tell that story that needs to be saved and captured and passed on to the future generations so they know exactly what your family's all about. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com, or call them up 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341 is Heritage Films. I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal, or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. Zero sugar. I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going? You use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Buffy's Catering Bartending Hotline. Our guest is Tara Henry, good friend of the show. She's the GM of Softball America and the host of Good Morning Softball. Tara, what's up? How you been?
Good morning. I'm great. Just ready to talk some softball. I know you've got probably some pretty excited Aggies fans after the weekend.
Yeah, so I kind of want to go back to the Texas series and work our way through that and the Georgia series. I feel like, and tell me if you agree, that even though, and I don't like moral victories, nobody does. I know that Trisha doesn't like them, but I feel like that series put everybody on notice. Hey, A&M is figuring this out, and they're just, they're a run or two away from winning that series. And hello, Georgia, you come in and you felt that as well.
Absolutely. And I think Coach Ford would say this herself. Like, I think the offense has been a huge surprise this year for the Aggies. And if you take a look at that Texas series, you're right, David, they're just a run away. And this team is very different than the team I saw back in Palm Springs and Mary Nutter that was still trying to figure it out, didn't really know where people were playing. I think Eric Kowalewski has been a huge part of being behind the dish and really settling down the pitching staff. And I just think the Aggies are in a really good spot right now from where that team started. It started with Texas, and then a win against Georgia was huge. It's huge for the momentum. And then even going into the week, and this SEC, the standings, Oklahoma's at the top, but after that, it's still up for grabs. So in a good spot right now, I would say, if you're an Aggies fan.
Tara, what about this A&M team compared to last year's? Do they seem grittier? Do they seem any different? What about them stands out to you?
I think there's a good mix of some transfers in Michaela Wark and Talon Edwards. I think they brought some maturity there. I think you see Maya Edwards or Maya Perez that has been able to really carry that staff. But I think it's both Sydney Peters and Sydney Lessentine. Emily Kennedy really carried that staff a season ago, and I think you're really seeing those two work in tandem and starting to figure it out in the circle. And like I said, it's an offense that is firing on all cylinders. I talked about Michaela Wark. I talked about Maya Perez, but Kowalewski and KK Demen and Kennedy Powell. So you've got players that were there a season ago that felt the sting and the pain of being the one seed and not making it out of a regional. But then you've got an influx of some players that have been on the big stage. And I think there's a really good mix of new and old and just a team that is gritty. I mean, Trisha Ford's teams are always gritty. Anybody that says anything different obviously doesn't watch her teams. They're always going to have grit. They're always going to fight. And I think that's why people love the way that she coaches. I don't like it either, right? Like, you might not love that style of play, but a team that constantly competes until the last out it's really hard to do that. And I think this team has that. And again, in the beginning, young, figuring it out. And I would say at the midpoint, as we're in conference play, in a pretty good spot to make a really good run and potential hosting picture as well, which beginning of the season, even the beginning of conference play, if you would have said the Aggies are going to host, I would have said you're crazy. But putting themselves in a pretty darn good position to potentially host a regional.
And I think that schedule that they had before conference play really set them up for what the SEC is about. And I know that was proactive thinking by Trisha Ford.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you're going to get your teeth kicked in when you play a high caliber competition. I know, obviously, going to Clearwater, going to the Mary Nutter out in Palm Springs, tough games against UCLA and a Nebraska team that are in the top 5, top 10. Like, I think when you schedule that tough, you're going to have to go through some growing pains, but then it prepares you for the SEC. I think there's a really interesting mix on scheduling. A lot of the SEC, if you look at different coaches and the way they do it, some you got to make sure that you're going to stay at 500, because when you get to the SEC, it's a brawl. So you got to make sure you're scheduling tough enough competition to where your players are seeing quality elite pitchers and playing elite teams and offenses, but you also have to pick up some wins and get some momentum going. So I think there's always an interesting mix between the two, but Coach Ford is never scared to schedule a tough conference or non-conference schedule, and I do think it helps prepare the players and the team for when you get into SEC play.
She's 7-2 in rubber matches. I read that before this show, and I'm like, what does that say about the way she manages the series?
Well, I think a lot of it is how, in this day and age in softball, we've seen a huge shift. You're seeing more pitching staffs, and it's how you manage your pitching staff, who you use in certain situations. Do you put in your ace or your 1A and 1B in a point of a game when you're down 4 runs because you think your offense can still score 4 runs? But I do think that they've done a really nice job as a entire staff. And Jeff Harger, I can't say enough about what he's done with this offense. I think all but 2 players are hitting over 300. It's insane to have a team offense hitting 355. So I think figuring out when to make those changes and really leaning on, like I said, Lessentine and Peters a little bit more. Those two have been splitting more of the innings, not necessarily going with one, but really using both in tandem, whether starting, bringing another one in, and then bringing the starter back in. I think that's been really pivotal for the Aggies.
Tara, let's close out with this. Is there an identity crisis happening in college softball? Oklahoma's been the dominant horse. They're still a dominant program, obviously. But we know how last season went. We know how good Texas Tech is. We know that Alabama's having an incredible year. Does it feel like a shifting of the power or maybe just a little bit more spread through?
I think we're seeing a lot more parity. I mean, what Oklahoma and that offense is doing this year is out of control with 144 home runs on the season. Kendall Wells, a freshman, at 30 home runs. I don't know necessarily if it's an identity crisis. I think we're seeing a lot of offense across the board. So I think there are a lot of pitching coaches that are probably not sleeping at night because the offense, in terms of what we're seeing across the entire nation, has been huge. But I do think we've seen parity. I think it is a Texas, it is an Oklahoma, it is Nebraska. You saw Tennessee start really, really hot, and then they've kind of gone through a little bit of a bump here in the road. But I would say, David, I think top 8, top 10, anybody could probably win the Women's College World Series this year. Whereas in years past, I think we're looking at 1 or 2. And then we haven't even talked about Texas Tech with Nyjah Kennedy and Caitlin Terry in the circle. So I will say this, I think we're going to see who goes to what regional. There's different seeding this year. And I do think there's a higher likelihood that any of those 8, top 10 could ultimately come home with a Women's College World Series title.
Tara, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Yeah, thanks, guys. See you soon.
See ya. Tara Henry on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Appreciate her time here on the program. All right, we're going to hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs, I'll say it now. So did you tell me, I know somebody on the board said it, or on the YouTube chat, or on the premium chat, that Mark Malone's daughter plays sports at North Carolina?
I didn't fact check him, but somebody did say that on the YouTube text line. So that would be something. There was like this video that came out, him back in October. He was an NBA analyst, but he was getting interviewed and he was wearing a Tar Heels hoodie.
Yeah, his daughter's got to go to school there. Yeah.
So
I wonder if there's a Malone on the roster. That's probably a common name.
She plays volleyball.
Volleyball. There you go. Does A&M play them? No, they don't. I can already tell you they don't. Sorry. All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back. We'll chit-chat. We'll do the stuff that we do when we chit-chat. All right, that's what we do. Right now, we're talking about Ground Shuttle. They offer frequent and reliable shuttles from Bryan College Station to George Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston. When you go to Bush, you know it can suck. For a travel team, like when we go places, I sometimes try to avoid Bush because of all the traveling and the parking issues. Let Ground Shuttle take care of you guys. They're going to get you there. You can joyride. You can catch up on work emails. You can read a book. You can just do it all. And they are not centrally located, but they're located in South College Station right next to Casa de Brazil. You get dropped off at your office. You can utilize their convenient secured parking. You can book any vehicle for their charter service too. They can accommodate your group sizes and needs in and out of town, anywhere in Texas. They're a local company, and they don't book anything unless they can guarantee it. They're excellent at taking care of their fleet, and they have amazing maintenance, and you're never going to have any problems when you deal with the good people at Ground Shuttle. Say hi to Camila for me. GroundShuttle.com is the website. GroundShuttle.com. You can call them up, 855-303-4415. That is 855-303-4415. Ground Shuttle. Let them do the driving. GroundShuttle.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm here to tell you about Fratella Italian Cafe. If anyone knows anything about Italian food, it's me, Billy Lucci. And Fratella has the best Italian food in BCS. Located at 3901 South Texas Avenue, Fratella is known for their handmade pasta dishes and feature lasagna, beef cannelloni, chicken parmesan, chicken fettuccine alfredo, a couple of my favorites, just a big old bowl of plain old spaghetti and some manicotti. Really recommend the manicotti. That's my go-to. And don't walk out of there without trying the fresh, piping hot breadsticks and the homemade in-house cheesecake, which is incredible. It's great for dining in, catering, gift cards, and even shipping, which they do nationwide. Fratella's is Aggie-owned and operated, and it's an official restaurant partner of Texas A&M Athletics. I'll see you there.
We're back. TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio as the hour number 2 show is about to come to an end, but we got hour number 3. I don't know why I made them their own shows. Our Go Hour is its own show, then the rest of the show is the show. We go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Justin Pius has got what's happening on TexAgs today.
Today on TexAgs, we got Ball 5 from Cade Bickham. We got baseball thoughts from Ryan Broniger. We got obviously the transfer portal, as we discussed a couple segments ago. We got Kay Nagley and Luke Evangelos on top of it. And then baseball is tonight. A&M's first midweek road game against Texas State starts at 6 p.m. today. But this is a reminder. Become a TexAgs premium subscriber to get all this content every single day.
Yeah, so I'm on the YouTube page, and I see Schoonover, who used to work here, who's trying to come back. And at some point, we're going to bring this young man back because he's awesome. He's our dog. Where'd it go? He's asking about the weather this week, and he hopes the rain holds up. I just because I like to look ahead, I'm looking at what it looks like. Wednesday, partly cloudy. Thursday, mostly cloudy. Friday, when's the series start?
Friday.
Thunderstorms.
Uh-oh.
Saturday, what does it say? Thunderstorms. Sunday, what does it say? Thunderstorms. Monday, scattered thunderstorms. Tuesday the 14th, scattered thunderstorms. Oh, that's great. But by Wednesday, that we're good, right? Wednesday, showers. Thursday, showers. Friday,
oh my God,
showers. What in the, and then we had a couple of nice days. Then on Tuesday, the 21st, scattered thunderstorms. Are we going to be like
we're gonna be staying
Aquaman,
inside.
like Atlantis underwater?
Got to bring out my canoe.
I'm going to have green grass finally.
Time to work.
It's, I don't want rain. Sorry, because I sometimes like chaos. I don't want rain to ruin the potential Bluebell chaos. I want it to be rowdy, respectful rowdy, Aggie rowdy, right? I don't want it to be F-bombs. I don't want it to be, I don't want that. I want us to be like classy mean. What does classy mean look like? Strike out, loser! Fine, okay? Not something else you could say. What's another?
Ball 5?
Ball 5's great. Yeah, let's do that. What else, Nick? What are classy things that we can yell?
But that was the worst chirp I've ever heard.
Strike out,
if I was a player,
loser!
I would just laugh at you.
What else can we say that's like kind of nice but rude?
You suck.
You're not very good at your game.
There you go.
The whole sentence. You're not very good at baseball, sir. Kind sir. I want us to be classy, though, right? Like I like Aggie's classy. All right?
Yeah.
I don't like mean, real mean Aggies. Like nice. Like if you fall, we help you up, but we like stiff handshake as we lift you up, like let you know who's in charge.
This weekend could be a tougher one because it is the return of he who will not be named.
Well, that's why I'm saying that.
It's like extra.
That's the why. Like, yeah. If this was Vanderbilt last week, I'm not talking about being class. I expect class, right? But I understand like the hate in the air, and I'm really curious. How many Aggies have the same anger and vitriol that they had 2 years ago? Like, are you still just as angry? Or are you like angry?
I wish they would have come here last year.
Yes.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Of course, right? Like, of course, the SEC had to do it the way they did it. But I don't know. I want it to feel. You know what I want it to be? I figured it out. I want it to be Kyle Field Blue Belt. Like I want it to be that, just amped up, right? Where you can cut the electricity with a knife. You know you can do that, right?
Wonder what the guys that got thrown out at Omaha for yelling in the Florida dugout, wonder what they're up to. Wonder if they'll be here this weekend.
Wonder if they're listening. Hey, guys. How you doing? But, like, I don't want the weather to take away from, like, whatever people are planning on doing. Like, because he might be listening right now. My brother, Alex, love him to death, watches all the Aggie sports, right? But if it's raining, he's not coming. Right? He's that guy, like, not coming.
Yeah.
If there's traffic, he's not coming, right? Like, which there's always traffic. And I'd probably be the same way outside of sports because this is what I do for a living. Like a concert, like I gotta go to the Woodlands and it's raining. Nah, I'm good. You guys enjoy those $200 tickets. I'm not going. Like I'm probably buying World Cup tickets.
Just wait until 2 weekends from now, May the 2nd, when you got Auburn in town for baseball, you got Oklahoma for softball, and you got the Savannah Bananas that night at Kyle Field. So,
buddy,
just might want to,
you know what,
order some pizza and stay home.
We're gonna have to spread out our team, sending Nick to Savannah Bananas. You got soft what?
I think we should send Richard to that. That's a baseball game, right? He covers baseball.
There's baseball going on here. He's got a job.
No, but he needs to cover that one.
No, I think you should cover Savannah Bananas.
Sure.
I'll
do it because I'm a team player.
When that news came out, and I was like, I'm not interested. Like people got mad at me.
It was huge, or it is. Huge.
But people got like mad at me. Like, how dare you not want to go to the Savannah Bananas? Right? I want that kind of crowd. Like fun, like Harlem Globetrotter, fun, high-fiving, but mean. You struck out, loser, and leave it at that. Right? I'm gonna make a shirt that says
you struck out.
You struck out, loser. Kind sir. All right, we'll hit a break. That's what we call tap dancing. When do we come back on TexAgs Live? What are we doing, Nick? Do you remember? I know who it is. You didn't. Amanda Christovich, a legal expert. They give me time to find it on my rundown. It's next on TexAgs. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Our next guest is a reporter for Front Office Sports covering the business of college sports. She was at the national championship game last night. She can talk about all things going on. We can also talk about the executive order, you name it, the shifts in college athletics. Amanda Christovich joining us here on the program. Amanda, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show. Did you get any rest last night? Because, a late start to the game, in my opinion, because I'm old. And did you finally get caught up?
I slept for about 5 hours, which is more than I normally sleep after a CFP or Final Four. So you know what? I can't complain. I usually take the first flight out, which is very masochistic, but I have an afternoon flight. So I was able to sleep in. And you know what? It's all as John Rothstein says, we'll sleep in May. So.
Well, Amanda, when you're there for multiple capacities, right? You're following the legal angles, the business of sports, right? But you're also covering the game. So, what was your agenda while you were in Indianapolis?
That is a great question. It's evolved over the past few years at Front Office Sports. Like every year, we kind of try something different. I would say when I'm at these national championships, I really do try my best to focus on the matchup. And look, I don't write about the X's and O's at Front Office Sports, but there are usually so many business angles to cover. So, for example, this year, I wrote about Illinois was a team that was fueled by international basketball players. There was this weird visa loophole situation where international players it's very hard for them to legally make NIL money. And so I wrote about that loophole and how lawyers behind the scenes were helping them make money. Looking at UConn, I wrote about their star senior Alex Caravan and how he is a very rare breed. He kind of ignored this system of unrestricted free agency. It was very rare. He was there for 5 years. He redshirted his freshman year, and he talked to me about how he basically doesn't really try to make NIL money. His thing is the NIL money will come if you play hard, And then I had a couple stories about Michigan and how much their roster actually cost and how much it really wasn't as much as everybody thought. It was about $10 million. And then on top of that, I'm meeting with sources and commissioners if I get a chance. Obviously, the executive order dropped Friday afternoon while I was here, so I was covering that. Last year, the House settlement approval hearing actually was during the Final Four as well. So last year I covered that. Many different hats, like you said. But, I mean, look, I love covering the business of college sports, especially now. There's so much to talk about. But I also love watching a game every once in a while. So this is my, going to these events is really special for me.
Man, I want to go back to Friday as President Trump's executive order came out. Do you think, I think the answer is no, but I'm just going to ask you, can it hold up for a while or not?
Yeah, no, not at all. So when the details started to trickle out on Friday afternoon, and the language that we hadn't seen yet, but had heard about was that there was going to be a one-time transfer restriction in this executive order. And everyone's like, oh my God, the portal, the men's portal opens on Tuesday. The women's portal opened yesterday. What is everybody going to do? Then the executive order actually says that doesn't go into effect until August 1st. So even if this EO is enforceable, it wouldn't start until August. It's not going to affect the basketball portal. But it's not enforceable at all. Basically, if you actually read it, it says that the NCAA is directed to change its rules back to a one-time transfer, which they can't do without getting sued into oblivion, because the reason that we have the unrestricted transfer portal is because they got sued the last time they had that rule. And I tried to ask NCAA President Charlie Baker, about that, and he didn't, he gave a roundabout response, but I think what he didn't say, which was very clear, was that the NCAA knows they can't actually change that rule. An executive order is not going to protect them. What they really need would be Congress. So I don't think that this is going to change anything. And, especially for now with the basketball portal, even if it is enforceable somehow, some way, it's not effective till August.
Yeah, and then do we think Congress is going to get involved, though? Like, do we want Congress to get involved is a different question. Do we think they're going to get involved?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's a general moniker in the United States of America that we try not to ask government to help us unless we absolutely need to, and then sometimes we regret it, right? So I'll leave that up to every individual person, whether they want Congress to get involved in college sports or not. I think that there is a very slim to none chance that Congress actually passes a bill. I mean, the SCORE Act, which is the NCAA-backed bill that's an NCAA wish list, it would give them pretty much all the control back, with the exception of, a few stipulations like giving players medical benefits and like allowing them to make money on NIL generally and rev share generally, but like they would still have all those restrictions. Like that bill failed to reach the House floor for a vote twice. And every day I hear it's dead, it's not dead, it's dead, it's not dead. Like we don't, I would be very skeptical if anyone said it was actually going to be introduced to the House floor. And even if it does, it's not going to pass in the Senate. I know that for a fact. I was in Congress 2 weeks ago, actually before the Sweet 16 in D.C., I stopped by Congress and talked to a bunch of sources there and went to a Senate hearing on college sports. And like, they have no, what was shocking to me, which will be shocking to you and probably all your listeners, was that a lot of folks in Congress were like, this is just now becoming a mainstream issue. And I was like, well, we've all been talking about congressional intervention since like 2020. There have been like 12 hearings. What do you mean this isn't a mainstream issue? But, a lot of these bigwig politicians just like are just now getting on board. And so I just don't see anything happening before midterms, let alone, by July 1st.
Amanda, look, I know I don't speak for the young athletes that are coming up, right? I don't speak for them, but I feel like the overwhelming consensus from the NCAA, from fans, from coaches, from everybody, that we do need some kind of real system. And we do the sand in an hourglass thing where we kind of do these micro changes, and some of them can take effect, some of them really can't. How is something going to change when everybody sees it needs to change, but nobody's got the power to make a change? Like, are we ever going to get what we all know has to happen at some point?
Well, what's interesting is there is a way that the NCAA does have power to make change, which is collective bargaining. Mm-hmm. That's the mechanism that's used in professional sports. Obviously, that's, a third rail issue because at least without some sort of congressional law allowing otherwise, it would allow at least a certain amount of players, FBS football or Division I or basketball, however you place it, to be employees, which is, the boogeyman, which we could talk about. I'm not sure it's as much of a boogeyman as everyone says it is, but or maybe just that I'm not sure it's worse than the situation we have now. But they could theoretically, at least, in one sport, like in football, they could get together and say, all right, we're going to recognize these players as employees, given the amount of control we exert over them and the fact that we pay them. And, we're going to ask them, we're going to see if they can get together a union. And like they do in the pros, that way we'll be able to collectively bargain. We'll be able to limit player movement legally. That's like what free agency restrictions are, right? We'll be able to limit. We can implement salary caps or luxury taxes as they have in baseball, something that would even the playing field from a resource perspective. That's not a simple solution either, and it certainly has its downsides, but it is something that is within the control of the people who work in college sports right now. They don't need Congress to do anything for them. They don't need President Trump to do anything for them in order to pursue that avenue. They by and large have just refused to do so.
Amanda, how does that work under the potential breakaway of the NCAA? So, that's if the NCAA has all this power, right? But if, we heard it 4 or 5 years ago, the SEC and the Big Ten and, other conferences potentially get together, break away, do their own thing, would it still have to be that same model where we're talking about, why can't these conferences get together and say, hey, we're not going to do X, Y, and Z, let's do our own thing, and we're not going to allow it?
Well, I can tell you why they probably don't want to, which is that the NCAA absorbs so many costs on behalf of the membership, specifically the legal liability, right? All these lawsuits we're talking about. I can't remember who I was talking to, but it was definitely over a year ago. Because in my mind's eye, I'm picturing myself in a different apartment than I'm living in now. And I was talking to someone and we were talking about how the NCAA basically sat these conferences down and said, look, if you want to break away, you can break away, but let me just make it clear to you, or to the athletic directors, I believe it was, what benefit it is to have this governing body of the NCAA. Yes, we run most of your championships outside the CFP, and, that should be considered helpful. But ultimately, we absorb millions and millions of dollars in legal liability for you on your behalf. Everybody sues us. If they didn't have us to sue, they would sue you, and you would have to deal with a lot of the lawsuits that we're currently dealing with. Now, with some of these bigger settlements, like the House settlement, for example, the schools are helping pay the damages, but ultimately it is true that the NCAA, shoulders a lot of that burden. And so I think after that revelation, it was less popular of an idea to break away from the NCAA. That's not to say that, if the conferences went to the NCAA and said, we want to declare a group of athletes employees, I don't see Charlie Baker as such an ideological stalwart. I think he would be interested in that. But he's fighting this battle on behalf of his members, on behalf of the conferences and the schools who really do not want their players to be able to be employees or collectively bargain. So that's where we're at now.
Talking to Amanda Christovich here on TexAgs Live. All right, Amanda, let's look in your crystal ball. All right. How many years away do you think we are from potential collective bargaining? I mean, this is not going to happen overnight, right? And it's been happening for a while. How many years away are we from this hopeful finished product that we're talking about?
Gosh, I mean, it's really hard to say. Maybe 5 years. I mean, maybe sooner than that, but maybe 5 years, because also there are the court cases that could force this. There were a couple that were moving really quickly before President Trump was elected, and because the NLRB, their board is appointed by the president, those cases were basically canceled when President Trump was elected because they didn't want, more conservative board members to rule. So, looking down the line in 2 years, let's say we end up with a Democrat in the White House, maybe a couple schools or players will try those cases again, and that could give us a path. But yeah, I don't see it happening at any point in the next year. It's extremely slow moving, and it doesn't seem like these organizations that are trying to organize the players have made a lot of progress.
It also feels like, Amanda, tell me if you agree with this, the non-revenue sports, the Olympic sports, the women's sports, they feel safer than they did a couple years ago. Is that the sense you have?
That's interesting. Well, it's interesting you say that they feel safer, because a lot of the rhetoric I hear from the administrative level is that, employee status or even, rev share and the increasing costs of rev share and paying players is going to be to the detriment of women's and Olympic sports because schools are going to cut them. And that has happened to an extent. I don't think it's happened as widespread as some said or thought it would. And then maybe the reason that a lot of them are safe or feel safer on the team level is if you remember during COVID, dozens of athletic departments cut Olympic sports because of the COVID financial shortfalls. And then there was basically one Title IX lawyer who got all of them reinstated by bringing Title IX claims. And by proxy, he ended up getting the men's teams that were cut, men's Olympic sports teams, back too, just from a PR perspective. Schools realized it wasn't worth saving a few $100,000 here or there to cut a low level. When I say low level, I mean financially low level Olympic sport, based on the PR firestorm they face. So maybe that's why they feel safer. I don't know, but I really don't think it's good business to cut Olympic sports in the long run, even though it might save you a few $100,000. Schools get really jumpy when I write about it. They know it's bad. They know it's not good for their brands. And so I think that, I don't know, maybe I think I'm with you. Maybe they do feel safer, but it's just funny because that's not what I hear on the administrative level. It's very doomsday.
Amanda, do you feel that the next couple of years will be a little bit more calm like we just saw with conference realignment, or do you still see a world where the SEC adds a couple more schools, or the Big Ten continues to add, or the Big 12 merges with somebody? What do you think conference realignment, where are we in that place right now, in that space in college athletics?
Well, if you're following the contract, we won't have another round of conference realignment until maybe 2028 or 2029, because the TV contracts all run, all the conference TV contracts run until 2030 to 2032. Obviously, the ACC famously 2036, but they have this option earlier. So exit fees get more manageable closer to when those contracts are up. So I think we're relatively locked in for now. Of course, I say that, and in 2 months, there's going to be a whole other domino. I really hope not. I would like an off season. That would be nice. I think we all could use an off season in college sports. But I would say the next big seismic realignment would probably not be for a couple of years. But look, in this world, anything can happen.
Amanda, great stuff. I appreciate your time. Look forward to catching up with you again down the road.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Amanda Christovich here on TexAgs Live. We'll hit a break, come back, open segment before we end the show with Jacob Grant, who'll be here in studio. Let's talk about Guarantee Bank and Trust. They've been around for a long time, since 1913. I have over a century of experience making sure that they take care of Texans as a community bank. And that means community bank is just exactly what it says. It's the community, right? They're the guys that work there and the gals. They all work in the community. They all help out in the community. And they serve Aggie land with 3 awesome locations across Bryan, College Station, but they're all over Texas. You can find them at 33 locations, East Texas, DFW, Houston, Central Texas, and as I mentioned, right here in the Brazos Valley. So they're all over the place. When you go to one of the 3 great locations here in town, say hi to their market president, Brandon Sears. He's an Aggie. He's fantastic. They got a great team. Sarah, Tony, you've got Jared. The whole team is fantastic, and you'll really like what they do because they want to grow stronger for you. And that's why they support your initiatives and what you're interested in. Home ownership, financial education, local business, nonprofit efforts, everything you're trying to accomplish, they want to be the first person you call to help you make and give you that financial guidance. They're exceptionally focused on relationship banking, and they are your Aggie Land Community Bank. You can learn more at gnty.com. That is gnty.com. Guarantee Bank and Trust, a division of Glacier Bank, a member of FDIC, equal housing lender. All right, we're talking about Burlebo, the heart of Texas, more than an outdoor lifestyle brand. It's products created with you in mind. Currently, I'm wearing the performance polo, the Texas maroon and gray. If you look into it, you've got the state of Texas in gray, and you also got it in maroon. It's one of their highest, most popular sales that they have there. It is really nice. Comfort and versatility. You can wear it in any situation. Quick drying, fits the size.
But Burlebo, they're rooted in tradition, fueled by passion for the outdoors, designs high-quality apparel that works just as hard as you do. So whether you're hitting a workout, enjoying a day of fishing, or cheering on your favorite college team, their gear is made for the athlete, the outdoorsman, and the everyday adventure. And it's really nice. I wore this one to church the other day. People talked about it. Really, my kids were like, Dad, you look pretty good today. From athletic shorts to your favorite go-to tees and performance hoodies, they have everything you want. Check out burlebo.com and find your new favorite gear. It's Burlebo for the athlete, for the outdoors, and for the family. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Got some rankings and some predictions and some other stuff. Justin, what do you have for us?
Yeah, I was reading an article by Bill Conley on ESPN, and it discussed the top 20 coaching performances over a course of a season over the last 20 years.
Over a course of a season. Okay,
Yes.
not over that whole time. Okay.
No, yes.
I was
So-
about to argue it because I know that.
Yeah, the list looked weird at first, but no, it's based on individual seasons, and ranking number one over the last 20 years is Curt Cignetti's Indiana team, followed by 2012 Alabama, 2013 Florida State, 2019 Ohio State.
Who was the coach of the 2013 Florida State Seminoles?
Jimbo.
Okay, just asking.
But what are your thoughts?
Well, hold on. I got to know more. Does he tell you how he comes up with this metric? Is it an opinion? Is there a algorithm? Is it a formula?
It said so. There's this raw SP rating, and 60% is from team performance against a 20-year baseline.
Okay. How the hell is Nick Saban not on there multiple times in the top 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I love Jimbo. Jimbo was good to me. Didn't do great here, but he I don't think he's number 3. Maybe they won a national championship, but Nick Saban won 29 national championships in 12 days. Yeah, that's just so. Ryan Day a couple years, I guess. 2019 Ryan Day. Why?
I'm assuming it's mainly based on expectation for the season and overcoming expectations.
Why would Ryan Day get 2019?
Yeah, Ohio State. What did they do that year?
That doesn't make sense to me. Like, this is weird. Again, I don't know what Mark Mangino. You don't even know who that is, do you?
No, I don't.
Google that. So I'm looking at this list. I think Bill Connolly does really good work. I just don't. The whole is it SPI or FPI or whatever it is. Like I'm not going to argue with what Cignetti did. Definitely not going to argue with Nick Saban. I'm not going to argue with Jimbo Fisher, right? But 2010 Stanford? So you don't have to win a national championship?
Yeah, I guess. It has to be based on just where they were expected to land versus where they did land.
Well, what about Elko and Duke year 1?
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
Why am I yelling? I'm like yelling. Not like kind of yelling, like angry yelling, like SEC Mike yelling. So anyway, sure, I guess. I don't know. Like,
I mean, even looking at how he graded coaches for just the 2025 season, which is the first thing, Mario Cristobal is at 10 out of coaching gigs or coaching job. Which
Joey McGuire's 2?
Yeah,
I don't understand how this works. Where was our boy Elko?
He was at 13. That's below Washington's Jed Fish and SMU's Rhett Lashley and Kyle Whittingham's Utah.
This list is stupid. Sorry, Bill. You'll probably never do this show, and somebody's going to clip it, awful announcing and all that. Whatever. I have maybe I'm just not smart enough. Really, I think I'm not smart enough to understand formulas. Okay, I remember when we were in high school, all right, you have to use this formula. Which formula do you use? Why? How? And then I'd pass out and fall asleep in class. But I did. I'm totally fine with Clark Lee being in the top 4. Does Lane Kiffin get the credit?
I know, right?
For leaving? I mean, he's on the list. Marcus Freeman. How is Marcus Freeman ahead of Mike Elko?
Yeah, that doesn't.
Mike Elko made the playoffs.
Playoffs.
They both finished with 2 losses. And
Elko got the head-to-head. And
they both lost to Miami. And Mike Elko beat, And by the way, Mike Elko had a harder schedule.
Yeah.
It's all on
down.
M-word.
Sorry to do that to you.
Look, if I understood what they were looking for, maybe and the coaching rating is derived 60% from the team's performance against the 20-year baseline. Okay.
No, somebody made a good point. Where the heck is 2019 LSU?
Yeah, 20-year baseline. Yeah. Okay, well, if you didn't win a national championship, I'm not saying you can't be on this list, all right, but I'm making some rules. I'm making my own rule. If you didn't win a national championship, you better have completely changed the opinion of your program.
Like if Kurt Zanetti had lost to Miami.
He'd still be on there.
Yeah.
Okay? Clark Lee, I get it. What he's done compared to the 20-year prior, I get it. Lane Kiffin, I kind of get. Kinda. Ryan Day, I don't for 2019. Dan Lanning, just what they do. That's exact. Marcus Freeman, they're always kind of playoffy.
Yeah.
Kyle Whittingham, they couldn't wait to get rid of him.
Yeah, dang it.
Rhett Lashley, ahead of Mike Elko last year?
Yeah, the Rhett Lashley love and this.
I understand the year prior where they made the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs this year.
There's even a list lower too, talking about how Rhett Lashley has done the second best coaching job of the 2020s.
I don't maybe I don't know. I mean, if we go back 20 years, maybe I don't know. I don't want to just complain to complain, but I just
feel like eyeballs sometimes can beat whatever formulas.
So did Ed Orgeron make this list at all? Any of these lists?
No, I don't see Ed Orgeron at all.
I mean, that 2019 LSU team, some people say was the greatest team
ever. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just not smart enough to understand it. You know who will understand it on the other side? Jacob Graham. That dude's smart. We're going to talk to him. We'll chit-chat with him, find out what his NFL future could look like, and just kind of, revisit how he became a deep snapper, his love for A&M, grew up in Aggie, all that good stuff. That's coming up next on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. So Jacob Grant spent 4 years at A&M mastering one of the most overlooked positions, in my opinion, the long snapper, the deep snapper. He hopes to put the NFL on notice. I think he is putting the NFL on notice, and he's here to chit-chat about all things. What's up, man?
How you doing?
Great to see you.
Great to be here.
Yeah, man. So when we had you in through United, I don't know, I guess it was in August of last year, we kind of talked about your journey. I want to kind of revisit that, because how does one decide, I'm going to be a deep snapper?
Yeah, I think kind of like I talked about back on the United podcast, that it really started off in just realizing, okay, I'm not 6'5" and I don't run a 4.5, 4.6. So I had to find a way. I knew I wanted to play college football, knew that path wasn't going to be as a normal position player. And so it was really finding that niche where you could find a way to get on the field, and long snapping was that niche.
But you played other sports, right, growing up? You even played baseball,
Played
right?
baseball, played football as smaller 6A in Houston. So they had me playing offensive line. And at 5'10" and 200 pounds, that really wasn't going to have a career post-high school.
Right.
So.
But at what point did you like, I probably need to start transitioning?
The spring of my sophomore year of high school. And so that's really when I got into it. I got with a guy named Nick Gatto out of Cyprus, who, ironically enough, has one arm. Like, was born without a second arm, and he kicked in D2 and then went to the Arena Leads kit there.
Yeah.
But he got into all things special teams and started coaching, kicking, punting, lawn snapping. And he's the guy who got me to A&M.
So what are you? How tall and how much do you weigh, roughly?
So I came in at pro day at 5'10" and 6/8 of an inch and 217 pounds.
Okay. So I'm trying to remember what you were like as a high school kid. So, like, how big were you when you got to A&M?
Ironically, I was about the same weight.
Okay.
Because I recomped quite a bit over the time.
So how intimidating is it? And you were a master at it. You did such a great job. But, like, you're lining up against dudes that are 300 pounds that are coming through your gap, right? Like,
for sure.
How intimidating was that? Or, you practice with them at A&M every day, so you're used to it. But, like, what was it kind of like, can I do this ever?
So definitely it's different. And the positions change so much over the years. You get, there's so many protections in place for the lawn snapper these days where you can't line up over them. Like on field rolls, they can go into your gap, so you have to anchor down, but they can't tee off directly into you and make initial contact with you. So I think kind of the phrase we always live by in lawn snapping is like, and really everyone on field roll is fall down slowly.
Yeah.
Field roll is not a fun play for anyone because you're just standing there and you're going to take it. And so just fall slowly. And
do you remember the biggest hit you ever took?
Biggest hit I ever took. Then you really didn't take a ton of big hits as a snapper for the most part, because sometimes they don't block you and they're doubling someone else. And when they do decide to block you, it's either stuff within the line of scrimmage or it's within those first 5 yards right down. So
nobody's trying to.
You're really not getting teed off on too much. It's kind of like playing offensive line. They're a bunch of smaller type hits within close compressed areas. So
pro day, 23 reps of 225. All right. When did that start? Because, like, I'm just saying, you're like my size, buddy. Like, I'm not repping 23 times. So have you always been really good at the bench?
So I've always been really good at the bench. So that's kind of always been a big strength of mine. And I've always had real good bench numbers. And so I knew going into pro day I was going to have a good bench. And that was going into this process, I said I'd be happy with anything above 20.
Yeah.
And so to be 23, I think was kind of about where I was expecting it to be and felt good about it.
So leading up to it, kind of take me through, like, because you probably have benchmarks that you hit in your training. So how close to that did you repped out 20 plus? And, like, and how consistent do you have to be? Like, one day is 20, one day is 23. What can kind of take that off?
Going into, so this whole process, I went up to a place a lot of people go, Etzos up in Plano, and was training up there for the draft. And Friday was always our bench days. And so the way we trained for it a lot was just a bunch of drop sets. So you'd go in Friday, it'd be like maybe 225, many reps as possible, break 30 seconds, 185, break, 135. And so we'd just been really grinding that whole process the whole time. And so the most I had hit up until that point was 21.
Okay.
And all the coaches were telling me, like, trust that last week before pro day, really didn't touch any weight and stuff like that. So they're like, that taper's going to come, and between the taper and adrenaline, you're going to get a few extra reps. So had been repping 21, was able to hit 23 at pro day. And I really think I could have hit 24. I got ever so slightly out of bar path. And so that was exciting, and just knowing a little bit disappointing in that exact moment. But no, it felt good, and it was a fun process. And I think everyone else did really good. I wasn't even in the top half of the people that went at 23 reps. So I think that's a testament to
the program,
to our program and how much we trained.
I ask everybody, got to ask you, what did Coach Moffitt mean to you?
So that entire strength program, they're definitely great at what they do. And I think people I really want to give credit to that don't get enough credit are Coach Steele and Coach Blake McCall. I think those guys, they go in every day with a good attitude, and they're some of the most overworked people in the program, and overworked in a good way. They work hard. I mean, and to not get the credit that they deserve, and those assistant strength coaches, they're doing all they can all the time to help make us better. And those guys truly do it for the love of Texas A&M and their players and everything like that.
I don't know if you're too closely removed, but I got to ask you, does it feel different coaching, environment, locker room, the types of dudes with the Coach Elko era and the Jimbo era?
I think yes, and I want to be careful here. I don't want to just go and badmouth any program. I think Coach Fisher did a great job in running a good program for a long time. And I mean, the dynamics of college football changed. And I mean, everyone had trouble in those first years kind of learning the new ways. And I think we have a great culture now. I think we have done a great job in this NIL era of continuing to be a team and not turning it into just a mercenary program where people come in and out all the time. I mean, we have 46 new players this year on this team this year, and I'm sure it was something like that the year before. So to be able to form a team culture is something impressive, and that's really led us to a lot of success. And
so you grew up knowing you were going to be an Aggie, right? Like pretty much, or how was that path?
I grew up definitely wanting to go to A&M the whole time. And as I got into high school, I was like, okay, and really started to take this college football stuff serious. I knew I wanted to be an Aggie. There was like, if that didn't work, I'd probably go do football somewhere else, at least try it and see how I liked it. And I knew at some point I was going to get the Aggie ring, whether that was a master's or while in college playing football here. At some point I was going to end up back at A&M.
And at what point did you realize, I can play football at A&M? Not only can I play football, I can start at A&M. Like, because I mean, we all have that vision and we hope, but it came true.
It came true, and I think that's definitely something that I'll always be really grateful and appreciative for. And so there was definitely nights where I was frustrated. I was like, okay, who knows if this is going to work or not. But just the ability to be blessed and getting more and more consistent with it, I think I've always had a good mental approach to it. And just as I got more and more consistent and starting to realize this could be a real possibility, I was grateful that happened.
You kind of touched on it earlier, but I'm just curious in a different path. How much of what a deep snapper does, or any specialist, is mental versus the physical?
I think it's 90%. I think it's the old Yogi Berra quote that it's 90% mental and the other half's physical. But I think it's so mental. I think in that ways, I've always said it's more like being a relief pitcher than it is being a running back or a football player. I think you have to have the physical ability, but I think a lot of people have that physical ability. There's a ton of people that can do it. And then it's just being able to go out there in front of the 100,000 people that's Kyle Field and put that all aside and just go snap your ball. And whether it's for a game winner or you're up 40 in the fourth quarter, it's the same snap. And just treat it like that.
So what's the future? I know you want to play in the NFL. You having dialogue with teams? How's that going?
Having dialogue with teams. I'm going to be down in Houston for their local day on Friday. And so looking forward to that. From there, if any other teams start calling and maybe a private workout, but a lot of times a specialist, that doesn't happen until after the draft. So kind of right after the draft, you start to hit the rookie minicamp stuff. And so hopefully I'll get invited to some of those, and from there,
make a team.
Yeah. At that point, go compete.
So is this something you're going to do no matter what? Like, you're going to keep trying, or is it like I want to see how it goes and then maybe start my business life or XFL or?
So I've always said it really depends on how those conversations go with the general manager. So say you don't make a team out the gate, it's something where I'm going to sit there and take this football route until they tell you, look, there's just no chance, and then no one starts calling. Because there'll be conversations with a general manager where, hey, there's 32 jobs in the NFL. And so of these 32 lawn snapping jobs in the NFL, the average free agent is 33 and a half years old this year. So it's a job you can be in forever if you make it. And so because of that, there might only be 2 to 3 jobs that open up this year. And there's 50 people coming out, and there's 50 people that came out last year and 50 the year before. So there's a lot of people competing for not many jobs. And so is that conversation with the general manager, hey, timing's just not right, but if our guy gets hurt, you're on our first phone call list, you're on our list, and then you're getting workouts with other teams, and maybe it just hasn't happened.
So you have to stay ready.
You stay ready. You 100% stay ready. But, okay, say that conversation starts to turn into, hey, this maybe just isn't a lead for you, probably time to go get a real job. And then you go and the phone doesn't start ringing and you're not getting any workouts. Well, then that's kind of your sign.
Yeah.
Time to go start the real world.
But I still feel like, especially since there's so few jobs, and like we talked about John Weeks before the segment, I mean, you can be in the league for 15 years, right?
Oh, for sure.
Right? So like, it's almost like, yeah, I'll move on, but I'm going to stay sharp just in case.
And so, interesting story about John Weeks, who, for any of our listeners who don't know, was the lawn snapper for the Houston Texans for 14 years, I believe, and is now with the 49ers. But he spent the first 2 years out of Baylor completely not in football.
Right.
In 2008, 2010, he was working as a nurse's assistant. And then he gets with the Texans in 2010, and he plays for 15 years, still in the league now. And so I think that's where you got to be able to self-evaluate and know, okay, is there still a future for me or is there not? And I think that's something you see with specialists all throughout. You got to coach yourselves a lot of times in college and the NFL. You got to know your craft. And I think that's something that comes inherent with the position.
Apologize for not remembering, but what did you study in school? What would you like to do outside of football?
So I was originally I started off in petroleum engineering. That didn't go very well. So
kind of hard.
That's kind of hard, especially with football. I think I didn't want to sacrifice anything related to do with football. When under Coach Fisher, we left on Thursdays, and my kind of approach was, second we leave for a game,
it's game time.
It's game time. I'm not going to mess with all that. And I think that hurt me, so I ended up moving finance. Got my undergraduate in finance with a master's legal studies, oil and gas concentration. And so I'm wrapping that up this semester.
Okay.
I'm doing that online, and so feel good about that. And so if this wraps up at some point, probably going to end up in Houston in the oil industry.
Your dream ends when you say it ends, buddy. It doesn't matter, so if you want to do this, you go as long as you can and you want. By the way, I don't want people to get confused, but your last name might be on the field next year, and it's not necessarily you. Tell everybody about your little bro.
So my little brother, he's came in last year. He's a lawn snapper for us as well, and obviously it's been great having him on the team with us. I was never on any team with him. I was here was at A&M for 6 years, and so as I got to A&M, he was becoming a freshman in high school.
Right.
And so we've never been on a team together, so to share 2 years on a team with him was a great experience. Something people might not have realized is he was our backup holder all year last year.
That's right.
And so when we played, who was the team we played second to last?
Second to last, South Carolina?
No.
Before the Texas game, you mean?
Sanford. When we played,
sorry.
When we played Sanford, we made a move to Zirkle as our kicker that day. And my little brother, he'd been holding with Zirkle on the 2-field all year. And so he got in as the holder that whole game.
Yeah.
And so to get a chance to snap to my little brother in games and meaningful situations, and then he got in against LSU also for a hold. That was a really cool experience. And so hopefully that kind of got his feet wet in game scenarios to where now he can go out there and snap the ball and be more relaxed and know that he's competed in a game before. And just relax and go do that.
I hope you guys got some pictures of that.
We did.
All right, good.
Yep.
I hope your family frames it. That's awesome.
That was a cool experience.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you for coming in.
Thank you. I
We
appreciate
can't wait to see your success, and I always love catching up with you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with a short final segment. It's TexAgs Live. Final segment of the program, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Ag Engineering 12 earlier in the show on the premium chat. I don't know if you saw this, but he was just talking a little bit about, just to double check, half of our pitchers are rocking a 9+ ERA in conference, by the way. Moss is solid 9. He says our current ace, Aiden Sims, is rocking a 7.9 ERA in conference. Yes, but if you look at what Aiden has done in his last 3 starts, we're talking 12, almost 18 innings. He's given up 6 runs in his last 3 SEC starts. That's against Georgia, against Missouri, and against Vanderbilt. In that stretch as well, he's got, 23 strikeouts. So, I hear you.
Aiden Sims has a 5.23 ERA in conference play.
Oh, okay.
So
where did that come from? Where did that big number come from?
But he's 20 2/3 innings. He's 3-0. He's got 23 strikeouts to 8 walks, and again that 5.23 ERA. So little inflated, but obviously the best pitcher by far. But Weston Moss, Shane Sadeo in conference play, ERAs north of 8 and 9. So not very pretty.
Yeah, look, it is what it is, and we know that that's an area they've got to get better. But Aiden Sims, especially those last 3 that we've talked about, right? Like, has been lights out.
Lights out.
And if what I asked from Weston Moss the other day, there was a time I'd say, don't give up 5 runs in 5 innings. 5 runs, I'm not asking for 5 runs. I'm asking for 0. But 5 runs from your starting pitcher, they can give you 5 or 6 innings, let's just say. With this offense, you're going to win a lot of games. Nick, you're a baseball guy, right? Like, I don't want them to give up 5 runs, but like, just don't give up 8 or 9.
Yeah, absolutely. That's when things get sideways. It helps when your offense can put up, 6, 7, 8 runs reliably, but you want to live in that, 2 to 4 range. But that's way easier said than done when you're talking about SEC offenses.
Yeah, but remember, the SEC is down, and like the dominance is over, even though they've won 1,000 SEC or national championships in baseball. All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Live here on a Tuesday. Thanks to Charean. Thanks to Jacob Graham. Thanks to Tara Henry. Who else did we have? Amanda Christovich. She was great. Good show. Ross Stripling was fantastic. Tomorrow on the show, Jason Howell will join us. We'll have Pat Henry, John Harris, Trisha Ford, and Kendall Rogers. Full show. Thanks so much. We'll see you then.